We talk about cursive handwriting?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so we've had a conversation about this before, like should cursive still be included in the curriculum within elementary schools and middle schools and high schools? Well, now Louisiana has made it a state law that their students have to learn cursive. All of the students in the state, starting in 3rd grade, they need to introduce it, and it needs to be a part of the curriculum through their 12th year. What do you guys think?
When I saw this, out of everything that we need to worry about in regards to education now, you got the conversation around charter schools versus public schools. You got the conversation around public schools not having quality education. Teachers are overworked, classrooms too packed. You have the issue with books being old. Sometimes certain schools, depending on which neighborhood you are in, you get third hand-me-down. You don't get the second-tier hand-me-downs. You get the third-tier hand-me-downs, pages falling out, et cetera, et cetera. You got kids thinking texting, writing with text words like ABT instead of about, or LMK instead of let me know.
Are real phrases.
So when I saw this, it was like, out of everything y'all could be focused on, this is what we're talking about? Especially moving forward as we progress with technology and the world gets smarter and faster. I'm not necessarily convinced that cursive writing should be a priority based on everything else that we need to be doing.
Well, are they trying to replace it instead of like, are they putting technology classes, learning how to use a computer, learning how to type in place of these cursive learning classes? Because I like cursive because it's easier. You don't have to pick up your pencil up between every single word. You can just kind of put it all together in one sentence. I think cursive is one of those things that it's kind of like art. A lot of these programs are getting cut in favor for other things. And so cursive is probably one of those things that's on the chopping block because no one wants to teach it, or there's just not enough time, or they don't want to focus on that right now.
Well, I think a lot of people just assume who writes in cursive anymore. You know, so if you were taught cursive, you might write in cursive, but now everyone texts and types.
That's
so
true.
Is it a waste of time in the classroom? And I've done a couple of stories on this in the past, and just a reminder, things that are, if you can't write it, that means you can't read it. So things like the Declaration of Independence, the grandmother cards that you probably get, you know, from grandma or grandpa or people the equivalent of. And so it's almost like a second language. And so if you don't know how to read it and you don't know how to write it, then there are going to be pieces of historical documents down the road that you might not know how to read.
That's very true.
So there's that.
Well, let's point this out, though. You can Google the Declaration of Independence and read it right there, straight out, typed out.
That's true.
So, you know, again, kids can't even spell regular stuff. Kids text a 12-year-old and most likely
You're going to get abbreviated.
You're going to get an abbreviated text, and then when you ask them to write something, in most cases, what I've seen recently, it's an abbreviated letter. Like, come on, kid.
How do you feel, Dad?
You have, I think, the future of education is that every kid in whatever grade is going to have a laptop on his desk. So ultimately, I love cursive. I mean, certainly, you know, many of us grew up with cursive and all of that kind of stuff, and it's a lost art form, but technology is moving in a certain way where handwriting, how often do you get a nice card in the mail handwritten from a relative who
But
says,
that's something we like.
It's sentimental.
Do your kids like that?
Yeah, my kids write stuff like that, but you know, I'm just trying to project, is it serious enough to make it a law? You know, it should be, you know, something you strive for. Teachers should do that. But in order to make it a requirement or a law, I don't know. I just see the future of communication is going to be strictly computer. And that's sad, but that's just the way it is. I mean, look at newsrooms, look at schools. My kids' schools all have laptops and the internet. We never had that, but that's just where it's going.
I remember the only thing I learned in computer class was the Oregon Trail game and how to type.
Yeah. Wow.
Which took a whole year to figure out how to type.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you go into kindergarten knowing how to type.
Knowing how to use a keyboard.
Knowing how to do it.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, do you think, are there teachers out there watching us? Is this something that you feel like that time could be better spent doing something like a computer or technology class? I mean, the way that, you know, things are moving now, does that allow you to make room for something else in the curriculum rather than the thing that a lot of people aren't doing anymore, which is writing in cursive because they don't have the platform?
Yeah. Again, I just, out of everything you can focus on, like kids can't spell. Like kids can't spell out here now. Like, and it frustrates me because again, like Walt said, we're moving into an era where every kid has a laptop. So yes, certain documents were written in cursive. Declaration of Independence is one, but most kids get their info off of Wikipedia.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
you know, will they even care that they're not reading the Declaration of Independence the way it was actually written, or are they just trying to find the information, read it real quick, get the Cliff Notes version, and move on?
Right.
Well, my fear is first it's cursive, then what? Then does it go to
What's gonna be
print
next?
eventually? Because eventually we could type everything to each other.
And that's what we're doing right now.
This weekend I played Scrabble, and I had to look up words that I probably should have known how to spell a couple of times. You know,
Did you look it up on the
wondering-
computer, or did you look up in a dictionary?
No, on my
See?
phone.
See? Right.
Yeah, there we go. Technology is taking
I love
over.
Scrabble is my favorite game.
That is a fun game.
But then I'm like, wait, is this really a word? And then I'm mostly to check if the points counted. You know,
Right.
Are you-
But
Oh, we have a great comment from Michelle Mays.
Okay.
As a teacher in the primary grades, students had to write monkey letters to prepare for cursive. It's important we incorporate handwriting with what students are learning. Make it fun but meaningful to students so it's not a boring handwriting sheet. You remember those handwriting sheets
Yep.
where you just write the word
Yeah.
that's on the sheet
You had
with
to
the
copy
big
it.
old thing, copy it with the
Yeah.
pencil with no eraser.
yeah, and Shirley says cursive is history and an art. Like the rest of the arts and freedoms should be mandatory. So yeah, so then Shirley thinks, I guess mandatory meaning it should be law. So in California, I know I have a teacher friend who teaches 4th grade, and she still does do a little bit of cursive, but mostly it's for their names. They teach them how to write their names in cursive, but she says they spend much less time now on the actual cursive handwriting.
Yeah, cursive is great. I don't know that there's anybody who's going to stand here and go, this cursive is stupid, we shouldn't do it. It's awesome. However, in 20 years or less, everything is going the direction of laptop. And unless you can type in cursive, you know, it's a historical thing that's going away.
So as long as you know how to do your signature, you're good?
X.
Done.
Yeah, weigh in on our Facebook page or
Yeah.
send us a handwritten letter. We'll get it next week and we'll talk about it.
Okay.